Hey y'all, hey! Welcome back to Keisha's Crumbs. If y'all are already subscribed, then thank you for coming back to this crumb trail because you know I'm always wanting to break bread with you. And if you just happen to stumble upon my channel, then please sit down and stay a while. If you like this content, I hope that you'll subscribe too. Y'all, today we are doing something very special. I remember doing this recipe one time, and I can rest assure you that it's been over 10 years, at least. And I cannot remember what my inspiration was for preparing this recipe the last time I did, but it went over like a huge hit. And once the person who I prepared it for at his home in the state of Arkansas sees this, he is going to remember him and all of his friends. He had guests over and I cooked that night. I made appetizers, but this was the main entree, and people, I mean, they flipped their wig. So I decided that I wanted to create this again. Yeah, I was supposed to have it for the holidays, but we went with the old school soul food. So, no pun intended, meaning my mom, we went with the old school soul food. So I never forgot that this is what I wanted to make. So let me show you what we have. And when I show you the list of ingredients, you tell me down in the comments whether you were able to guess what this recipe was before I disclosed it. All right, y'all. So here is what we have. Got quite a bit going on, but right here we have a beautiful flank steak that has already been pounded out really thin and smeared with garlic, crushed garlic, and just a little kosher salt. You can also add marinade to this if you like, but it is flank steak that's been pounded out thin. Not quite as thin as I would like, but thin nevertheless. And then we have some habanero ketchup right here by Melinda's, our beloved company Melinda's. We have some sofrito by Goya. Y'all let me know what you think it is. We have some Italian herb, of course, Italian herb seasoning. We have cayenne pepper. We have Badia Complete, which is our herb blend. We have granulated onion. We have extra virgin olive oil. In this heart-shaped bowl, 'tis the season. We have some portobello mushrooms, some red bell pepper, green bell pepper, and spinach. And our little wooden salt holder is my artisan seasoning blend, Uwe KG. We have some sliced provolone here, as well as some sliced mozzarella. In addition to those items, we also have both yellow and red onion. More than likely, I'll just be using the red. We have some black olives. You know, we always got our dishwater, honey. Oh, yes. That's our BFF. That's our sidekick. We're going gangster, baby. It's Al Capone Steak. All right, y'all. I'm anxious to hear or see who guessed it. But this is Al Capone Steak, nevertheless. Now, I will tell you, because it's been so many years ago since I've made this recipe, I never recalled that it could be made with pork. But when I got ready to read through some recipes, research some recipes just to refresh my memory on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, I saw that there were several recipes that called for a pork roast versus beef. For the most part, it is made with beef, and the most popular cut is the flank steak. Quite honestly, I'm not a fan of flank, and I just went with this because it was the most accessible at the time. But I think this is going to turn out well. I did have a hard time beating the steak as thin as I wanted it. I used my mallet, in which y'all are going to see that. I prepped it last night, so y'all will see me beating it away with the mallet. And then after I beat it to my desired thinness, I turned it over and used the tenderizer side, and I started to tenderize as well. Flank doesn't have much marble in it, and so for me and my taste and texture preferences, I prefer flank when it's been cut up. But nevertheless, this is a lot of stuff, pun intended, that we're going to stuff in this steak. So you do need a hearty piece of beef to hold up to everything that we're going to stuff inside, okay? We'll talk about some other options besides flank that you can use. I've even seen recipes where they take ribeye and they pound the ribeye out. That sounds more like my flavor, honey, because I love marble, if you don't already know that. But let's go ahead and get started. We're going to turn down and prep our vegetables. We'll do that first. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is cut up our vegetables. We have some red onion here. With the Al Capone steak, all of these ingredients are intended to be stuffed in the actual steak. That's why you pound it out thin. You're going to stuff all of these ingredients inside the steak and roll it up. So we want these onions to be pretty fine, or you can leave them as coarse as you like, as long as you feel confident that you can roll it up inside without any issue, and that the vegetables will blend well and meld in with the cheese and other ingredients. Okay, so that's the red onion. You know, I'll give you a list on the screen of all the vegetables once we are done with the video. Towards the end, you will have your full list of ingredients there on the screen, okay? Gotta make sure you don't cheat me, honey. I want you to see what's going on. I hope everybody is off to a wonderful new year. These are black olives. I pray I remember. My daughter doesn't want black olives in hers. I see that I've grabbed quite a few. I told her I just put it at one end of the roll. So we're going to try our best to remember that. These are the black olives. You can also use green olives. Just keep in mind this has cured meat inside. That reminds me. Oh my goodness, y'all. That reminds me. Keisha couldn't get the pepperoni. I'll be right back. All right, y'all, I'm back. I cannot believe it. When I got ready to explain myself, I was like, where's the star of the show? The meats had already been put in the fridge, but we have ham, thinly sliced smoked ham here, and we have pepperoni. A standard, old school, authentic, well, I won't say authentic because this certainly is authentic as well. But the standard recipes that you see from back in the day will call for pepperoni. Some call for hard salami, prosciutto, mortadella, things like that. We're just going to use two forms of pork, the pepperoni and the ham. I think this is plenty. And then what we'll do is we'll add in a few extra veggies. Normally, the recipe calls for the mushroom, the olive, and the onion. And sometimes it calls for green bell pepper. We're going to do the green bell pepper. We're going to do a little spinach. And then we're also going to do the red bell pepper as well to give us that color and that sweetness from the red pepper. Okay, so I just wanted to let y'all know that. We're going to put this right on the side of our cutting board. We've already processed our black olives. We have plenty of red onion because we love that. And now we're going to go in and chop up the mushrooms. Now you're probably wondering why I'm chopping up these big, beautiful portobellos. And it's because it's what I have on hand. So I could have gone and gotten some regular standard white or brown mushrooms, but I already had these, so I figure why not. And again, just cut up everything as small as possible so that, you know, even when you get ready to roll your Al Capone steak, when you get ready to roll it, even if you can get everything to stay inside at that point, another important thing is that you have to think about when you get ready to slice the roast. You want to be able to see that beautiful ring of everything inside. So you have to be careful not to overstuff it. You have to be strategic in the order in which you layer in the items you're stuffing the roast with, the steak with. And we're going to talk about all that. But that's another reason why you want to make sure that everything is pretty small. You don't want to slice your Al Capone steak and all of the interior just comes flying out or oozing out. Because this is definitely one of the major benefits to preparing this meal, is definitely the presentation. Okay. Next, we're going to go in with our green pepper. Get rid of that white. Now with this, you can do thin slices. And you can either leave it in thin slices and just roll the slice up, knowing that when you cut it crosswise, it's going to turn into a dice. Or you can dice the peppers. I think we're going to leave them long like that. Okay, we're going to do the same with the red pepper. I don't know how many Al Capone movies I've seen, if at all. I know he's known to be a gangster. I do know that. But I don't remember seeing any of his movies. I may be mistaken. I have to go back and look. But I know he's very popular, so most people probably have seen a movie or several. This is the spinach. And even after I cut this spinach up, y'all, I'm going to put it in a paper towel and squeeze it. Because spinach naturally renders water. And we don't want the interior of our steak watered down. So even though I've used the paper towel to drain it here, we're going to squeeze it again. And we're really just using this spinach for color and variation. It's not like it's going to taste like a true steak Florentine or anything like that. However, I will say the spinach is what had me tempted to go in with cream cheese, but I don't want to do too much, especially since we have both provolone and mozzarella. A lot of times you'll just see where recipes call for mozzarella and not the provolone. But I almost want this to have a pepper steak sort of taste. So let me finish processing these vegetables and I'll be right back. All right, y'all, so here we go. We have our steak pounded out. Again, in order to prepare this, I pounded it out, and I actually put a little wet marinade on mine, which is not required. I did that because this particular cut of flank does seem a bit tough. So I pounded it out, I tenderized it, as well as I applied a wet marinade, and it sat in the refrigerator like that overnight. Now, the next thing I want to discuss is you have to decide, after you pound your flank out, decide which way you're going to roll it. Decide that before you start layering in your ingredients, because the way you're going to roll it should help determine how you're going to layer it in. Okay, otherwise you can mess yourself up. So when you think about the fact that you want a roll, normally you want the roll to be as long as possible, lengthwise, because you're going to go and you're going to cut it like this, right? Don't put too much pressure on it. Your knife needs to be sharp. So I'm going to lay my steak where the longest part is the edge that I'm rolling from. I'm not going to do it from the short end. Otherwise, I'd have a really fat but short steak, and I wouldn't have much room to create many servings. So you go from the angle that is the longest. Okay? So make sure you make that determination first. Now that I know that, I know how I need to layer in my ingredients. First thing is we're going to season well, I guess first I'll go in with some olive oil. Let's do that first. I don't want to forget that because actually when we finish this, we're going to sear it on the stove before we put it in the oven. So without any oil or fat, it will be hard to get a nice sear on the outside. Also, when you're pounding your steak out, go ahead and decide which side is the outside and which side is the inside, so you can treat it accordingly. Okay, so that's olive oil. This is the back side of my roast. I want it to be flavorful as well, so I'm gonna go in with some onion powder and some herbs. I'm just want to pat these two ingredients in. If you wanted to, you could just start by doing nothing but the salt, but I at least want to put these two in. Y'all know I'm big on the flavor, honey, big on the flavor. And pat it. Leave one hand clean because you have so much else you need to do in order to prepare this steak. Okay, so this is the back side. At least I have some seasoning on there before I start rolling it. Now, of course, when I turn on the other side, which is my inside, I want to make sure that it is seasoned properly as well. So again, with the onion powder, and you can use as much or as little as you like. I mean, it is your steak. Think about how you eat your steak. A lot of people feel like if it's a good quality cut, beef doesn't need anything but salt and pepper. So either I disagree with that, or I just can't afford the type of beef that only needs salt and pepper, honey. I won't argue, I'll just say that. Now I'm going to go in with some Uwe KG. I want to put that right up against that meat. You don't want to layer in all of your ingredients and then try to season on top, because if that's the case, you're just seasoning your ingredients. Make sure you go corner to corner, end to end, because you want everybody to have a nice flavorful bite. Okay. We do have this coarse Italian blend. You can put this on the inside if you like. I'm going to save this just for the outside. I don't want any coarse seasoning on the inside of mine. That's a personal choice. All right, let's see what else. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so this should be good on the seasoning. So the first thing I'm going to put down is my olives. And I'm remembering that I'm only supposed to put it on one end, my olives and my onion. Okay, now another thing, you can see how this steak is basically more linear, right? It's more linear on one side than it is on this other side. You see that? All the grooves, the curves. This side is straighter after pounding it out. So when you're rolling your steak, you want to put the imperfection on the inside. You want to end with a nice straight line so that your roll can be as tight as possible. So that's why when you start from the irregular piece. Remember, wherever you start rolling, that's going to be the inside of the roast. So I know I'm going to roll from this side because this is where all the curves and the grooves are. I'll leave that nice long linear side to help seal the roast. Okay, so let's put in the olives on one end. I cannot wait to see this, and I know my friend guy is just, I know he is just appalled that I'm making this online. I don't know what made it I've been thinking about it ever since the holidays. And I just, with all the other cooking I had to do, you know, that's the unfortunate part. A lot of times I don't get to cook what I have a taste for, what I want. But, well, I'll say I do, just not at the particular time that I think of it. Now we're going to go in with the onions. And I can put plenty of onion because we love onion, especially red onion. Go all the way across. Now when I cut this roast to show y'all what it looks like, I'm going to cut it from the end that has everything in it, including the olives. Maybe it's like making a steak pizza. Oh yes. I'm going to put every bit of onion on here I have. Then we go in with the mushroom. Now again, you don't have to use all of this. If you don't use all of it, just use what you like. But you can see that you had the opportunity to kind of customize it. Like, if they don't want olives, then I'll just put olives on my end because I love olives. Okay, now we have these green peppers. So I'm going to put them in this way. Because remember, when I cut the steak, I'm gonna cut it like this. From the longest part, I'm gonna cut it lengthwise. So I need to turn my peppers the same way. And even if that doesn't really make a lot of sense what I'm saying, if you just think it through as you're doing it, it'll make sense to you. You just constantly think about how you're gonna end up cutting the steak, and you layer things in accordingly. We're trying to make this thing look like Christmas, honey. Oh yes. And we have quite a bit of vegetables, so we are going to put a little more seasoning in. As well. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so let me change my gloves. I'll be right back. All right, y'all, we are back. Okay, so let's go in with our coarse Italian seasoning. Now that we have all these beautiful vegetables, we're going to just season it a bit before we put the cheese on. Okay, so now, because I have two types of cheeses, and this is just my personal choice, I'll tell you now the one thing that you want to make sure of, and this is a tip, you heard it here first, honey. I do the same thing with my lasagna. Anytime you're layering ingredients for a meal that requires both mozzarella and pepperoni, if you have other things to layer in, make sure that your pepperoni and your mozzarella are always together. This is just a classic flavor combination, so you don't want to put anything between the pepperoni and the mozzarella. Oh no. So you're welcome.
Wow.
Okay, so now that we have the vegetables down, I'm gonna go ahead and put down the provolone. Now if I didn't have two types of cheeses, I wouldn't have to do this, but I wanted two different types, so I'm gonna put the provolone right on top of my veggies. And then I'm going to put the ham on top of the provolone. And then I'll put the pepperoni on top with the mozzarella. Okay. And make sure you don't have it too close to the edge, because you want your edges to be free for when you get ready to roll it up. So we have provolone. Because I have this spinach and I have squeezed it a bit, I'm going to go ahead and put... Y'all, you can just tell this is going to be delicious. Look how beautiful this is. This is Capone Steak, honey. He was said to be a great cook. and that this was his favorite meal. They said he grilled quite a bit, but this was his favorite form of steak. And so I don't know who came up with the pork variation. I guess, you know, it'll take an old school Italian to let us know one way or another. But I would think that the beef, the steak, was the original version. Just makes sense to me. Now we're going in with the ham. Ooh wee, honey. Ooh wee. Yes, 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 yes. All of these flavors. Now, like I said, there are other Italian meats that are used traditionally. I didn't want to go too heavy on the pork. Why? Because we just coming out of the holidays, honey. I just got through making homemade hog head cheese. Who else do you know? Who else do you know goes from making homemade sauce to Al Capone steak? Keisha's Crumbs, honey. This is what we do. We love all types of cuisine. Oh, yes. So this is the ham, right? I don't want to put the pepperoni right on top of the ham. I want something melty to go in between. So I'm going to put the mozzarella here, right? All I said is that the mozzarella needed to be next to the pepperoni. So I'm going to put the mozzarella here. And we'll get one more slice out the pack to even this out. And then we put the pepperoni, it is still on top of the mozzarella. So that way you have cheese in between the two layers of meat. Okay. And then remember, the provolone is on top of our vegetables. And what makes it, you don't just do that just for the taste, but it's also going to help hold your ingredients inside when you get ready to slice the roast. That is our prayer, honey. You get ready to slice the roast, you want that cheese to kind of hold your veggies, everything together. Also, we have this one last slice of pepperoni I need to stick in there. So for your guests who don't like a whole bunch of meat, give them the very ends. Because, baby, the closer you get to the center, it's like the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop. Okay? So here we have it. Okay, y'all, I'm back. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to create a nice little tomato sauce, if you would. I'd rather call it a puree, but that's what I have the sofrito and the Melinda's habanero ketchup for. Some recipes call for tomato sauce, just straight jarred tomato sauce like you would make spaghetti with, or of course homemade tomato sauce. I don't want that much tomato sauce, but I do agree with just the essence of tomato. And so I rather go with the sofrito because this has all of your aromatics in it. Garlic, basil, all that good stuff. This is like a cooking base, a tomato cooking base. So I rather do that where it has my vegetables in it. But then to really give it some body and a little more flavor, where it just doesn't taste like a cooking base, I'm using ketchup. Now, if this were regular ketchup, it would give me a little bit of sweetness to balance out all the saltiness. You gotta think we have all of this cured meat is gonna be quite salty, and then this cooking base is on the savory side as well. So we are gonna add just a bit of sugar to balance it out. See that there so you can see it. I'm gonna put in a little sugar. It's definitely about a tablespoon. We're not trying to make it too sweet. We just want it balanced. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna dollop some of this beautiful sauce on the inside. Just something to bring all the cheesiness and all that together. Just a little something, something. And then depending on how much we have left, we're gonna do the same on the outside. Now, not all recipes require this. Not all recipes require this, but if this is something I'm gonna make every blue moon, I want it to be over the top. Oh yes, we want to go over the top, honey. Not to the moon, but definitely over the top. You have to fold this in, so we don't want it too sloppy. We're just gonna put a little on there. A little dab will do us, and we're gonna take the back of our spoon and smear it. Okay, that way when we bite into that pepperoni with that mozzarella and ham and provolone surrounding it, honey, we'll have this beautiful tomatoey essence at the center of it all. And then it's going to have that pop of sweetness. Ooh, nummy. Oh, yes. Just about enough. I just want to put a little essence of tomato on the end, and I still feel like I'm forgetting something, y'all, but we're gonna go ahead and close this thing out because my daughter been waiting on this steak for 2 if not 3 days, and so I gotta get it to her. This is Parmesan. I'm just putting this in there so I will have at least one cheese that has a little bite to it. Not gonna put a whole bunch. That's for flavor, not for melting. Just like macaroni, you use some for taste, some for texture. Okay, now for the magic. We're gonna get ready to roll her up. All right, y'all ready? I'm gonna turn it this way so you can really be at a good angle to see how I'm doing this. Just do another little bit of Italian herbs. We don't have but one chance to get this right, y'all. One chance. So make room, rearrange some things, do what you need to do, and think through it. Okay? See, I'm going to even turn my paper a little bit so that it is square against me. And it's just like a burrito. You want to take it and tuck it. One day I'm gonna have multiple angle cameras and y'all be able to see it all. See, I feel as I'm trying to go, you see how that meat is trying to slide? That's like resistance, so that's when you pull it. Pull it. And make sure it's in there tight, and then use your fingers. Use your fingers. Pulling up with your thumb, using your fingers to push in. And then you're pulling the roll at the same time. Going from end to end, making sure she's tight. Just like that. Yeah! Cue the ta-da! There she is, y'all. Got seasoning all on that butcher paper. And now we need to get something to wrap her up with. But there she is. You always keep your seam down at the bottom. She is so uniform. To say it didn't start out uniform, that's why you think about how you're going to roll it before you do. Because to say it didn't start out uniform, I could measure it. It's practically the same from one end to the next. Okay, I just wanted to show y'all this. I have some twine, but I don't know. I don't feel safe using it since we're about to put this on high heat. But I do feel safe using this cheesecloth. However, in order to bind this roast together, this steak together, I need to cut this into skinny strips. Because I just need to be able to use it to tie the steak up laterally. Just a couple of sections, maybe 3. And so that's what I'm going to do. Open it up as wide as it can possibly go. and then I'm gonna cut it. So see, that's the cheesecloth. I just cut it the long way into a string. That's it. I'm sorry, I thought y'all could see me. I need to cut it in a direction that make see, that's plenty long enough. See how strong that is? The opposite way. And I know you see the fibers, but that's just cheesecloth. It's used in cooking every day. Okay, we need, so this is how cheesecloth looks, y'all. When I got ready to make my homemade sauce, hog head sauce, this is what I use to put like the feet. You know how the feet have all those bones in it? I wrap the feet inside the cheesecloth so that once the feet or the trotters were done, all the bones would be trapped in here. I don't even, maybe I shouldn't cook this because it's not like I need it. Trying to decide because I feel like I'm about to cut it. Let's see, let's test the piece at the bottom. Okay, yeah, this is the right way. Y'all see that? Okay, so it's just cheesecloth. Okay, don't worry about nothing. And I'm actually taking it and I'm gonna do it like this. I would with it, but I know what I can do. I'm gonna take a little oil, and it's gonna help close off all those loose fibers. Take a little oil. See, I thought about water, but what we're doing is we're searing our steak. And if I added water, then that would that may prevent my steak from searing as well. Not may, it would. So now, in order to kind of trap those fibers in, and remember, I'm doing this in the place of cooking twine because I don't have any, and I didn't realize it because I knew I had twine in my drawer, but this twine that's twine I've used for gift wrapping on baked goods. It's not used for cooking. It's not sanitary enough. It's strong enough, but it's not sanitary. Okay, so this is my longest piece. I'm gonna save this for the last one. Now, all we want to do, and I'm gonna come to the side right here. You actually just come and just slide. See, I just slide it under here. That way I don't even have to move it. Slide it under here. And tie it. You cut off the excess. Do the same on this end. Give it a nice little tug. That one should have been a little neater, but it's okay. And then go ahead and do one in the middle. And cut off the excess. So this is just the cheesecloth. Same thing they use to form cheese with. I'm just pulling off the excess while I cut it. Okay. All right, y'all. So there we have it. Oh, it's so tight, y'all. I feel like a little baby. Look at her. Isn't she beautiful? Ooh. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do one more piece since we got her so full. Let's just do one more piece. Same technique, even when you have something on there already, just go in there and slide it. I wish I had cooking twine, y'all have to forgive me. But baby, this gets the job done. That's why you can't be afraid in the kitchen. Use what you got and make something beautiful. Oh yes. Do this first. Let's go in with a little Italian season. This is where you want your coarse seasoning. You want your coarse seasoning so when you sear that thing, all this shows up. If you love black peppercorn, you could do black peppercorn, pink peppercorn, whatever you want. Okay, I'm just gonna turn her on this side and do it again over here, because we're gonna put that tomato on the top. I slightly overstuffed it, but I'd rather be overstuffed than understuffed. Alright, y'all, we're getting ready to sear her off and stick her in the oven. The time is come. We have the oil very, very hot. Thankfully, I had some not olive oil, but thankfully I had some peanut oil on hand. Since I did, I went ahead and used that. And I'm actually going to sear the top of the roast first to get the hard sear on it. And then I'll turn it over since I know I have the ham and cheese. Some of that is exposed on the bottom. So we're going to start with the top. See how secure it is? And now I'm going to turn the vent on. gonna put it in the oven on 350, y'all. Alright, y'all. I put that Al Capone steak in the oven with the lid on it just for 10 to 15 minutes. So everything can understand that it's supposed to work together. Like, I wanted to trap the heat in there so all the ingredients could understand what the business was or is. So let's take it out just to remove the lid and let you see it. It's only been 15 minutes. Oh my God. I may have to zoom in for you to get a good.
Wow.
For calls right quick because the pan drippings look too good not to. Get a spoon and ladle the pan drippings over the roast because we eat our steak medium well or a little under medium well, but not well. So we definitely not gonna let this steak overcook, and I need to go ahead and baste it right quick. You done 20 minutes, like 20. I'm taking this steak out. It could never be an exact science because it's beef. All cuts of beef are different. It depends on the amount of fat in the beef, and it depends on the amount of doneness you want. This looks perfect. I'm taking it out and I'm gonna let it rest while the macaroni's in there. She would not be happy if they were a well done steak, nor would I. The interesting thing is that it did not stick, even with the cheese being exposed under the bottom, honey. Oh, yes. That's proper temperature. So thank God I looked up. But what I was saying was, remember when I was rolling the steak, I told you how uniform it was. Even if you don't start out with a perfectly rectangular steak, you can still have a perfectly balanced, even and symmetrical roast. We call this a roast after this stuff. Look at the butt on it. Look at the butt on it. Who wants the butt with the ham and cheese sticking out? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I just thank God for I almost said my little gift. But the older I get, the more I realize it's pretty grand. This is our Al Capone steak, y'all, before we cut it. So it can only get better from here. I let it rest plenty so that the cheese is settled in. And I'm going to start from this end, which is a good idea because the cheese is already kind of saying peekaboo on that end. Make sure you have a very, very sharp knife. And we're going to cut it. Don't put too much pressure on it. Your knife needs to be sharp. Oh my God, y'all. I am barely. Look. Look at my fingers. Look at my fingers, y'all. Look at my fingers. There's 3 fingers. And now you're about to see the surprise of your Keisha's Crumbs life. Oh my God, y'all. God is so good. Between how it cut like butter and how beautiful it was, I really had a spiritual moment. So I'm not calling God's name in vain. Please believe me, I'm not. Jesus Christ. Lord, what? Somebody give me a magazine to enter this picture into. Please, somebody. I am so serious. Oh my God. Oh Jesus. I don't want to squeeze it because I want y'all to see it exactly as it is. Oh God. Let me let this down. Lord have mercy. This is more beautiful than the picture on one of the recipes. Remember what I told y'all about the doneness? Keisha's crumbs, y'all. We rather have crumbs from the master's table than eat the whole loaf somewhere else. These are just my crumbs. These are just my crumbs that the dear Lord left me and blessed me with. And now that I'm at this tender age, he said, daughter, go do something with the gift that I gave you and be happy. Be at peace. Have joy in your heart. Go do something with the gift that I gave you. And I said, yes. Do y'all see that? Oh, Jesus Christ. Y'all, this is spiritual. Do y'all see that? Now let me show you the board. Oh Lord, y'all gonna have to give me a moment because I gotta take pictures galore. Now let me show you the board. You must. Let me raise this up so I won't lose fat. No blood is running. Look at that, y'all. Baby, you saw it here first on Keisha's Crumbs. You're welcome. Look at that. No blood on the board. Barely any fat. It's just perfection. Look at the girth on the steak. It's not too thin, it's not too thick, meaning that when you get ready to eat a slice, everything is going to be balanced. All the vegetables. There's not too much cheese. Everything is balanced. Beef, veggie medley, cheese, pork. Ugh. Lord have mercy. That's a beautiful sight. It really is. Now it was very crucial for me to sharpen my knife. It helps with this presentation dramatically. Because I'm literally not having to put any pressure pushing down at all. I thought it didn't like flank, but now I do. Get one more cut. And then we're going to make the plate. I'm going to cut this one a little thinner.